Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the introductory session of the Decompression Session podcast. I am your host, Nick, and in front of me, my co-host, the always wonderful Mr. Kyle. Hello.
Hello there. Hi, I am Kyle.
Welcome.
Yes,
Welcome.
That is me.
It's great, and thank you all for tuning in and listening, no matter where you are, whether you're in your car or at the gym getting swole or doing whatever it is people do when they listen to these anymore.
Or at your job, really wishing that you weren't at your job.
That's true. I mean, I feel like that's most people every day.
Yeah.
But if you're in the 2%, congratulations. We're excited that you are enjoying your job.
We've graduated from the 2% to the 1%. That's societal progress right there.
You know it. So anyway, welcome back, and we're
welcome back to session 1.
Yes,
he says.
that's what we're here for, right? Is to kind of bring this whole thing together. Thank you to all the people that have shown any sort of interest in this project as we have gotten it underway over the past couple of weeks. I put a lot of time and effort into this, and I know a lot of people are really excited about it. By a lot of people, I mean like my mom and my dentist. So shout out to those two people.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, not even my therapist wants to listen to me do this, so at least you got a couple.
Hey, I'm here to listen to you.
I'm here to listen to you, too.
I got you. Before we get started, I just want to do some quick shout-outs to some people that have helped us to get here along the way. The first one being to the wonderful office that we're in right now, our recording space. It's actually part of the print source here in Loveland, and locally owned and family operated. Shameless plug for a family business. And can't thank them enough for letting us use this space. So super excited. Nice office. Can't wait to mess it up thoroughly. We've already done a lot of damage.
Thoroughly. If the walls are still intact by the time we're done with this place, we've done our job wrong.
Right. And I can't wait to put a hole in that drywall. Just that drywall right there that you can't see because there's no video portion of this podcast yet. Stay tuned, folks. We'll get there eventually. We need funding first, so. Yeah. Also, shameless plug number 2. Thank you to those that came out and supported the GoFundMe page that I started a couple weeks ago to help get some awareness for this going and to dump in some moolah to help get this going. So, Mr. Carl, thank you so much for the wonderful donation. It was a great help getting this going, helping us pick up some really awesome equipment, and we cannot wait for any other support that we have along the way in establishing this journey that we're on here.
And I believe there's one more in there.
There is. The last person I want to thank, too, right now is the wonderful artist behind the logo that you're seeing on your screen, hopefully at this point in time. If not, go ahead and turn your screen back on and look at the logo there. That is by the wonderful artist Darcy Kinchin. I am dropping the name in there because she is wonderfully talented, and we've been close personal friends with her, I think, for a couple of years now, so safe to say that I can highly recommend her work. She does operate on commission, and if you want to get some pieces done or check out some of her awesome artwork, I think the best place to go is probably her Instagram, and I think it's darcy.kinchin. That's Kinchen. Mm-hmm. And awesome stuff there. So please go check that out. And once again, thank you to everybody. And we're super excited to be here. So without further ado, I think we're just going to kind of roll into what we got going on. So in case, go ahead, Kyle.
Huh? Oh, yeah, sure.
Free.
Well, the first session here, we're mostly just planning on doing some brief introductions. We're not really planning on getting too personal or anything, but we just want to give you guys an idea of what motivated the decision to start this podcast, besides the fact that, hey, dude, let's start a podcast as our generation's, hey, dude, let's start a band. There's not really any fine detail to it. We mostly just thought it would be a fun thing to try. We both have had our respective conversations in terms of what we want to get out of this, and the main draw has just been if one person listens and their day is a little bit brighter as a result of this podcast, then that's pretty much good enough for us. So
for sure. So piggybacking off that, the idea for this podcast kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, I'm a pretty avid podcast listener, and Kyle, I don't know how much you listen.
I have almost never listened to podcasts,
which is great.
I am just here to lend the tones.
And I thoroughly enjoy your tone, sir. I appreciate you. So with that,
don't make it weird.
It's already weird. If they can't pick up the fact that there's already sexual tension in this room, then
yeah, it's like practically bleeding through the speakers at this point. Like if you can't detect that, you got some faulty hardware
for surezies. And the reason that I chose Kyle to help me kind of do this podcast and start me out on this journey here of sharing wonderful experiences with all of you was that him and I have had quite a fair share of some awesome evening conversations late at night, and I know we've gotten some pretty deep into some topics, and I said, hey, you know what would be fun is if other people had to listen to hear, like, us talk about that stuff. Instead of just choosing to do it, now I'm just going to make them do it.
Now you are forced.
You are forced.
We have you shackled.
You cannot close this.
Escape now.
You cannot close this browser. I hope you enjoyed the spamware that came
it's
with
malware.
this.
We leached it into the system. You'll never get out now.
No. I'm inside your mind now. You are in the Matrix.
Yeah. But Nick and I have been friends for a while, and we've always been able to communicate to each other very well. We've always had similar ideas, and when our ideas haven't been similar, we've always been able to have good conversation about them in a way that helps both of us find nice perspective. So we figured that it couldn't hurt to at least try. Like, even if nothing happens out of this or nothing blows up, it's at least fun to sit down, record some stuff, make some stuff, have a little bit of good old-fashioned jolly conversation. So
yeah, and we're aiming to tackle some really interesting topics over the course of however long we decide to do this. I think as of right now, we've established that it'll probably be once a week that we're going to put out an episode. Where I think we're still trying to nail down a release time on when we're going to drop them every week. We'll get to consistency there, but maybe in the future, once we start getting good at this, and if people actually enjoy what we're putting out, we can do it more than once a week, because I have fun listening to myself talk, and if you have fun listening to me talk, please do let us know, because I want to encourage more of that.
I'm right there with you. And I think another part of this that's particularly interesting is that there is so much opportunity in the modern era for self-starting businesses, with the internet and instantaneous communication being the way that it is. But for people like me who either don't get or openly despise things like social media, this is still a great way to get your ideas out there, have them be discussed, even if it's just among a close circle of friends. And creative expression in any form, I think, is good for you. I think it's good for you as a person. I have a background in music and in theater, so that's where a lot of that comes from for me. Nick is in software design. He's very good at it. So when you get a couple expressive people in a room, you just kind of want to talk. You just kind of want to create. You kind of want to see what happens. And it'll be interesting to see if anyone wants to follow along with what we create. And, we'd always be open to ideas about what you would want to hear us talk about, what types of topics you'd like to see us research and discuss. And if we get big enough, we'd love to have some weird, wacky guests.
I mean, I'm a pretty weird, wacky guest, Kyle. I think you're going to deal with that on the
Well, I'm
daily.
sorry, you're not good enough for me, Nick. You don't bring in advertisers.
Well, have you seen my face? I was going to say, have you seen this face? Not to toot my own horn there, because there is no horn to toot.
Jesus.
But yeah, we're super excited to put forth this kind of creative medium. We're in a really interesting time, I think, in terms of social media and progression for what sharing content and things is like. I mean, you go back probably 8 years ago, and I don't even know if there were podcasts really worth listening to. I think there was a couple just major ones that were out there.
I just remember being like in like 2008 and just having like that little podcast section in iTunes and just going, what the fuck is this? And having no idea. And then suddenly 10 years later, I can't open YouTube without like the first 5 results being Joe Rogan. And I have watch history and all of that disabled. So like, it's not like they can send me ads. He's just that popular. Like,
he is a absolutely hugely influential person, and to do it in a way that is kind of outside of the typical realm of what is considered media and news and things like that. Podcasts themselves are kind of an interesting format of way to get out the creativity. Mm-hmm. It's a medium in which that can be enjoyed while doing another task, which is always good for people. They can consume information while they're, while you're at the gym, while you're driving, while you're doing something else. It can be a background activity that goes on that you still get to enjoy, as opposed to something like a YouTube video where
even like an audiobook where you're still in that inherent, you're doing this while doing something else, you're listening to it. But with something like an audiobook or a project like music that requires so much more of your attention, like, I haven't listened to many podcasts, but what I seem to see the draw being would be that it's basically like just having a conversation in your headphones that you're just there for. And you can do all kinds of things in the middle of a conversation. It's not as engaging as having a plot or like some kind of melody you have to follow. It's just much more free form.
Yep. And the thing about podcasts too is that you can take it and you can spin it however you want to spin it. So for our show's purposes as of right now, we've agreed that we're going to do kind of this free form style where we're just going to kind of speak freely. We're not an edited podcast by any means, so I'm not going through and cutting and editing out pieces that are uhs and ums, or if there's pauses, or
Yeah.
I think that just makes the whole experience more genuine, and people enjoy that a little bit more. Unless it's super professional, if you're going through and editing it, I think it can act as a little bit of a distraction to what you're hearing.
Yeah.
Because it cuts and jumps around, and then it's hard to follow.
Edits can be great for the right type of entertainment, but for something like this that is inherently designed to be long form, you don't want to make it too pixel perfect. Oh, look at this great jump cut that no one will see because there's no video attached to this.
Right.
Like, I don't know.
And editing in this is a little bit different. It's like you said, it's not like a video where my editing kind of matters, where because if I'm shooting a camera shot and I have a shot that I need to cut off at the end of it because, something walks into frame, or, the shot's over and I need to cut it, that's a whole different ball game as opposed to this where,
hey, let's just make sure the audio mixing's good.
right. And we're following along. So far, so good. So also, that's another thing we kind of want to talk about as well, where we can kind of tell our quality, but we hope that you guys are enjoying the quality as well. If you do notice anything that we don't notice for some reason,
ambient air conditioning, overly loud movement beside the microphone, those kinds of little petty annoyances, that like most people who are just there for a production will hear and ignore because they just accept it. But a lot of people do expect a high standard of quality out of whatever art they're consuming. So if there's any of those little details that you think we're missing, you need to tell us, because we ain't gonna find out.
No. It's hard for us to tell when we're doing the whole process, and we are learning. So we're hoping that over time, and I'm just assuming based on past experiences with doing kind of creative mediums, that the more you do it, the better you get at it.
Well, yeah, definitely. Practice is the creator of all talent.
Right. And so for this first episode, it's kind of more of us establishing, who are we, what are we doing, why are we doing it, and just getting the groove on, getting in the flow.
And we're also trying to give you guys a little bit of an idea about how we talk, what we like to talk about, how those conversations will go. If there is something in our communication style that you like, awesome. That's what we're here for. If not, then that's still useful information for us.
Yep. And there are many times that I think I've had conversations with you and other people where I went, man, oh man, I wish I could have recorded that conversation, because some of these are comedy gold. And we're hoping that if somebody gets a laugh...
comedy gold according to our idiot standards, but still.
Some of those, they're pretty good. And I cannot wait to see what kind of gems come out of this. And see, like right there's a pause word, but we'll get the flow. We'll get there. I'm enjoying it.
We'll get there together, man.
Indeed.
Yeah. It's about the journey. I mean, obviously, journey without destination is shit, but journey's still important.
Right.
Yeah, we can tell ourselves that. We can comfort ourselves with that half truth.
Yes. And also on that note, we're going to do our best to talk in our natural way that we speak. I'm not going to go out of my way to kind of avoid using a curse word or something like that if it just comes up in mid-conversation. So just know ahead of time, this is your expletive warning there.
Yeah.
Or post Kyle shit. So if you're super not into that, well, it's just kind of the way we talk. It's going to be a minimal.
We're not going to say anything that's going to get into truly offensive territory, but we're a little loose-lipped. We enjoy our sentence enhancers.
Yes.
So
those are my fun filler words, I call them.
I'm not clever enough to have come up with sentence enhancers. I stole that from the episode of SpongeBob where they learn all the cuss words.
Isn't that the one where it's like the dolphin noises?
Yes, it's a classic.
Which going back, just thinking about that, where like it was a child show that you'd have no idea what that means, but as an adult, when you go back and you watch it, you just go, wow, I can really appreciate what that is, and I wonder what those swear words were, and you kind of start to put it together a little bit.
Well, good kids media isn't really for kids. Nope. Good kids media is just media where they've wrapped all the jokes and all the objectionable material behind so many layers of mystique that a kid can't get, that an adult will be watching it and going, oh, wow, look, Scar just turned those hyenas into the Third Reich in the span of a song. Whereas the kid's going, ooh, great dance number, yeah. That's how you make good kids media, is you make it for adults and then you disguise and distract. And SpongeBob was the master of that. It was basically just, it's always sunny in Bikini Bottom.
And we'll call that like the beginning of SpongeBob, because I don't know.
No. I'm talking about the first 2 or 3 seasons here. Like, I didn't watch the show past those seasons. I'd gotten too old by that point, but
You're never too old, Kyle.
I don't know about that, but I still go back and fondly remember some of those early seasons because there was the show won an Emmy at one point, and I'm like,
did it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's the episode where Squidward gets in the time machine.
Oh, the future one?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that won an Emmy. Didn't you know that?
I did not know. See, you learn something new every day, kids. We're like a Snapple bottle here on this podcast. Even if you learn nothing and you didn't enjoy this, the flavor of Snapple that you picked, that peach
at least you
tea,
get something nice on the cap.
You do. You get some redundant fact that you didn't know that you needed before you walked in this room, and that you'll never be able to forget again because I don't know what it is.
And you'll also probably be very, very struggling to find a way to slip into conversation in most cases.
Yes.
You take that to the grave.
Like kangaroos can't hop backwards, Kyle. Did you know that?
I can't say that I did.
See, there you go. There's 2 facts for you. That's a 2-for-1 special on the first episode. Don't ever count on that again, because
the rare double whammy.
Can he get the hat trick, ladies and gentlemen? We'll find out later in the episode.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Well, we should. Why don't we work around a little bit, kind of backtrack just a second here, and we'll go ahead and give you guys a little bit more information and detail about what we do, who we are. I will be happy to go first. So, like I said, I love music. I was into theater for a while. I went to college for it. Feel like I should probably be honest about it. College kind of beat my ass a little bit. I realized I had definitely not done enough growing up that was necessary. So I've mostly just been focusing on work for the past few months. I have been focusing on getting back into school. Nick here is a very successful software designer, as I said. Why don't you tell him a little about it, Nick?
Yeah, so kind of segueing off of Kyle's section there, I also have seemed to struggle in the college medium a little bit there. And to both of our credit, it's not because we're bad students by any sense of the word.
Oh, yeah, no, I've gotten like 2 Bs in my entire life.
Right, and I'm the same way. I just don't think I ever fit into a rhythm or found a place where I was like, this is what I want. Mostly because I didn't want to inherit $40,000 worth of debt. And that's
Dude,
that's the low end of the
went
spectrum.
to NYU,
I won't even
try 200 plus K.
Yeah, I won't even touch that. But I know a lot of people, and that was really hard for me when I came out of school, and I tried the whole college thing, and I just wasn't happy. And during the whole experience, things just didn't go the way I planned. I got really depressed because I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I took a step back and went, hey, let's think about what life is going to be like and turn the ball around. And I've been on multiple paths since getting out of college there, and working on also trying to get back in, trying to find the right medium to shift into that will make me happy. Because at the end of the day, I realized that I had been force-fed my entire life, you have to do something that's going to be uber successful, and you're going to be an engineer, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be something that's this.
And you better be doing it by the time you're 22.
Right.
You better be doing it as soon as you graduate college.
Because otherwise you are so behind in the rat race of life that you will never catch up. And that's kind of what we're fed in this day and age.
And to some extent it is a little bit true. You know, you do need a successful job. You do need financial stability, and you do need to be providing both for yourself and for the people who provided for you. Like, you know, you got to take care of the people that take care of you.
Yep.
And I know for a fact that I would not be in any of the positions I've ever been in my life without the support of family and friends. Like, I'm not that special by myself. It's all about the tribe that you build. And so that's why we're interested in something like this, because you can reach so many people and you can see so many different reactions from walks of life that you may not have ever been able to interact with, because you may never have met someone like that in your small, lowered communication physical circle.
Right. And people might tune in and listen that are struggling or going through a problem and think, well, why am I thinking this way? Everybody's told me this, and all I read online is that. And then all it takes is for maybe to hear from one other person that goes, hey, you're not alone in that problem.
Yeah.
Your train of thought that you've got going on right now is not crazy. You are not insane.
Yeah.
And
but you do have to do something about
it.
You can't just sit and be stagnant. That's how your life just turns into something that can't be salvaged.
And that was the big influencer behind wanting to start this podcast with Kyle. Was I got the crazy idea that I said, hey, I'm going to do this. And I kind of thought, I stewed on the idea forever. And just, it was sitting there and it was just lurking and lurking. I had a lot of stuff going on in life that I was trying to deal with. And
yeah, you and I have had no shortage of personal trauma.
No. And with that, I finally just kind of said, all right, well, I'm going to look at my life and go, well, what can I control right now? And I said, you know what? I'm done putting off this project. I'm going to dive in. I'm going to do it. If it fails, if it sinks, who cares? At least I can say I tried, because the regret of not trying or never have attempting will totally supersede any failure that I ever have in this medium. If I put it out there and it tanks, well, hey, at least I know now that
I agree with you, man.
This isn't the way to do it.
People are, myself included, I am cripplingly afraid of failure, but I feel like people are really afraid of failure in today's day and age, because failure is so easy to publicize. It's so easy to point at someone and laugh, because you can do it in a digital medium where everybody can see.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of their own lives, social media is a highlight reel, my dude. People aren't posting their failures, or that time that they flipped their car, or that time that they fell off a curb on a longboard and broke their arm. They're not spreading any of that. They're talking about, the promotion they got, or how cute their kid is.
Right. We live in a...
And it's easy to feel like you're just surrounded by positivity that you're never going to get, because you're just seeing all these hyper embellished instances of it that can really distract you.
Yeah, for sure. Social media is...
It's a really powerful thing, and
yes.
I think it can be used extremely well. I just don't think it is being used that way currently.
Right. It's a lot of kind of putting out the best of what my life looks like, and how well can I keep up the appearance of what it is I'm doing and what my life is, the places I go, the things that I see. Because, when you look at people's social media lives, they're 10 times more exciting than real people's lives. And people don't realize that.
Dude, I can count on my hand. I can count on both hands, at least like 7 or 8 people that I know that have these incredibly glamorous social media lives, amazing production values in their social media lives. They're boring as all fuck in real life. They're just regular fucking people like you and me.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean they're bad. Just means they're normal people.
Right.
Like,
they're just really good at taking photos on their phones.
Extremely photogenic. Extremely good with Adobe.
Yes.
Like,
shout out to Adobe Lightroom.
Dude, shout out to just Adobe in general.
Dude, I love Adobe.
Like, what great programs.
No kidding.
This podcast is not sponsored by Adobe. Do you think we have that kind of clout?
Yeah, I was going to say if this is episode 1 and we were sponsored by Adobe, they would have booked the hype train hard.
Yeah.
They were like, wow, I am so blown away by just the sheer awesomeness of this person's persona that here, take my money, random stranger. And
otherwise known as doesn't fucking happen.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't happen. And if it did, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, dude. That'd be a strange world to live in.
No, but hey, Adobe, we see you. That's all I'm saying. I see.
But do you see us? No, they don't.
No, they don't.
They're not even aware of
this
our
is like
existence.
number 1,587 on the podcast list of Apple Podcasts. So shout out to the person scrolling through. You're doing great work. Keep doing what you're doing. You can go ahead and go back up to the Joe Rogan Experience or the TED News Radio Hour. Both incredible podcasts. So
I don't know that second one.
The TED Radio Hour?
Mm-mm.
So it's a really good... It's sponsored by NPR, and it's a program that...
NPR.
Yes. So it's very high quality there.
Ooh.
There's a whole other style of podcast that they cover where they'll pick a topic every week, and they'll kind of cover it from a perspective of... They assemble all of the different experts regarding that particular topic that they know through TED Talks, and then they kind of insert the TED Talk into the podcast, like the snippet or the clip that relates to whatever topic they're talking about, and then they actually bring that person in again and interview them in the studio and walk through what they were talking about in their TED Talk and kind of more questions along the lines of whatever they're looking for. Totally awesome podcast. It's a weekly thing. I think you can find it on the NPR website or on anywhere you get podcasts. And speaking of anywhere you can get podcasts there, we're working on trying to set up the feed. So hopefully this guy is launching on all of your respective fields that you can find your podcasts in. We're going to be on Apple Podcasts, going to work on Spotify, going to drop to SoundCloud, put some stuff on YouTube. So there is no excuse why you cannot find this podcast and share it.
But there is
with the people you
absolutely
love.
an excuse for not listening to it.
Yes.
You think it sucks.
Yes. And
which is fair.
And if you
are
do,
welcome to that opinion.
Yes. Like, power to you. And if this isn't something you enjoy, then that's fine.
Yeah.
I totally am acceptable with knowing that everybody and their mother is not going to want to listen to me talk for an hour or whatever length we decide we're going to do. And,
But the family dog might be interested.
Yes.
And I really value his opinion.
You leave that on for him when you leave in the day.
Yeah, dude, come on. He's a schnauzer, man. He needs intellectual stimulation. Come on, you're really gonna leave Frou alone like that?
No, you're
that's
not.
That's just not fair.
He needs stimulus.
Come on.
What are you gonna leave? We gonna leave Sports Center on? He doesn't care about sports.
He's not a Bernese Mountain Dog. He's not watching football. He doesn't care.
You think he cares anything about? Because it's probably like ESPN2. And what are they showing?
Oh God, ESPN2.
What are they showing on ESPN2 anymore?
Like Little League and college women's basketball.
I mean, it's like shout out to the women's basketball players listening. You're great people, but you're on ESPN2.
Jesus.
So please,
oh my God,
keep doing the great work that you're doing, and if you play that sport, keep kicking ass and doing awesome things.
Oklahoma State University has pretty nice basketball programs. My parents went there, and I always see them watching those programs and watching OKC Thunder and those teams. They're not high tier, but they're on the middle side of mid tier, and those are I think those are the most interesting teams to watch in matchups because in any sport. Because I feel like when you have hyper professionals, it always just gets down to who has the best gamesmanship and who has the best technicality.
Yep.
Whereas when you have middle tiers or watching college football versus NFL football, I really enjoy the chaos factor of it, where it's you never know what's going to happen. You might have a play in a college or a mid-tier athletics that you would straight up never see in professional because it's just a completely different world in the way that they play in whatever sport.
And I think that's the draw as to why people enjoy college football so much, especially because
and why people enjoy the divisions between men's and women's sports.
Yes.
Because the way that people play in those teams is very different depending on what division you're in, what school you go to, how large is your team, what types of players you have.
Right.
And those differences I think are really interesting to follow.
For sure, and same with looking at the fighting landscape now, because I was really into the UFC for a while and watching MMA fighting, and to see how much that sport has changed over the past when did
you can thank Ronda Rousey?
Yeah,
for that.
When did Ronda Rousey join the UFC? Because that was when they turned it on its head. Same with people like Conor McGregor when he came in, totally
Ronda
changed
Rousey.
the game as to what
because they made
sports could be.
They got it back to the point where you could be a fighter and be a star, and that's the only fighter that I knew before that era was fucking Uriah Faber. That's all I knew. Anderson Silva,
Yeah, the big name people were the only people that ever actually had a namesake in there, and then everybody else kind of got lost into the wind unless you kind of knew about them. But then you had these people come along and they were doing things that had never been done before. Ronda Rousey, when she came in, was this unstoppable force.
Dude, she was a killing machine.
She was and nobody wanted to fight her because she just crushed everybody. And then same with Conor McGregor. I had never seen somebody in my entire life get into a fight and he puts his hands behind his back and motions to punch him in the face.
He's a cocky prick, dude. That's why he's fun to watch. Because he's a piece of shit.
And he's a showman, so you generate a bunch of hype. Mm-hmm. The hype behind any fight he's in is massive.
But he's got the fucking fists to back it up.
He does. He's not
And the thing I respect him, even though he's got a shit attitude and he absolutely refuses to grow up, I do like how every time he loses, the first thing he's doing in those interviews is talking to the reporter okay, I fucked up X, Y, and Z. I didn't do this. He had the advantage over me in this. I just wasn't thinking enough like this. He is his own worst critic as much as he is his own best kiss ass. And I think that's why I find him specifically interesting. Ronda Rousey I just find interesting because now she does fucking WWE.
Right.
And I'm that's just anime for rednecks. But I digress.
If you enjoy WWE, I'm sorry, but it's
we still love you, but you should probably get help.
Yeah, you might want to consult your physician.
Yeah, or a psychiatrist.
Or actually, on second thought, don't tell anybody that you watch the WWE because I feel like even if you walked into your doctor's office and you're like, hey, I think I got some stuff going on. Well, what's going on, sir? And you're like, I really enjoy SmackDown versus Raw.
I'm sorry, son. We're gonna have to put you down.
Yeah, we're gonna and it's not even a nice way. They'd be like, hey, just get the shotgun now. We're gonna old yeller you behind the building. It's it's all right. Go ahead and just look at the SummerSlam pay-per-view. Go ahead and just look at that for me, John. Just it's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. But you can't deny that is a money-making machine.
It's an incredibly impressive financial enterprise.
No idea why.
And it's very fun to watch when you turn your brain off and accept that it's just, okay, this is pure dumb fun. It can be entertaining in that light, but I don't know. I feel like I would just prefer watching an actual fight.
Yes.
I'd rather just see two athletes, two competitors, and I love it when people are rivals as well, because when you have emotional investment in a fight, it's much more interesting.
And people connect to fighting, I think, on a different level as well, because it's like the most primal thing people
It's something
can
that,
really
whether you
compete
believe
in.
it or not, everybody wants to do at some point or another throughout their day. No matter how good of a person you are, at some point in your day, there's going to be that one motherfucker that just makes you go, God, I just wish I could clock you. But you don't, because you're,
Right.
you're a respectful, positive member of society. But when you look at fighting, these are two people who've agreed, yo, we're going to let this out all over each other's faces and bodies, and we're going to see who comes out standing.
Right.
And I think that that's cathartic both as a practitioner. I imagine it must be. I haven't ever done it. And it's very cathartic to watch because you feel like you are seeing through the fighter you support. You feel like you're seeing your issues, be resolved in one way or another, because when they win, you feel like you win. That's just sports.
And that's the ultimate look at how problem solving works. Because if you ever want to see the human body and the human mind try to problem solve its way out of an issue faster, put it into dire threat and have something in its way that's going to harm it or like possibly kill it.
Yeah, put it in an 8-sided ring with mesh fence and go, hey, don't die. You'll see real quick.
For 5 minutes here and go at it. And then you look at it from the perspective of, there was a UFC fighter that I actually I listened to. I think it's Kat Zingano. She's a former Colorado fighter. Ooh. Awesome lady. And she talked about the fact that there's this weird feeling that she gets that when she fights, when she's in the ring, she's not always satisfied with the fight after it's done, because even if she loses, she goes, well, I only lost because, we were in there for 3 rounds and I only had 5 minutes. She goes, well, imagine if there was no time limit and we could just fight it out till somebody won. Mm-hmm. And what would that look like? Because her perspective on it was like this primal nature of, in the caveman times, there was no ref to stop your fight. It was we're gonna grapple in the swamp until one of us is dead and I get the bone. It's not like the literal bone.
I just love the idea of 2 Neanderthals slugging it out in the swamp over like a mammoth haunch,
just slapping the shit out of each other.
Me take mammoth, Grug want meat.
No Grug.
No know what fire is, but eat meat regardless. No seasoning, me animal.
Me caveman, me not know what Mrs. Dash is. We only
Lowry's seasoning salt not compute.
We put red man salt, but it's salt of earth. Did we just really do a whole thing on cavemen?
I think we may have.
We devolved into Neanderthal mocking.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much exclusively what we are.
Neanderthals.
So, yeah.
I would be interested to know how much Neanderthal I actually have in my genetics.
I would. I don't know. That could be interesting. It'd certainly explain a lot in my case.
We had a family friend that did the 23andMe stuff, which I don't know if it's a load of hogwash. I don't know.
It's just that I don't trust it, man. I don't want someone out there making a genetic profile.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's really the government listening in and taking your DNA. So don't trust 23andMe.
Don't give the government your DNA, kids. They'll start making those DNA bombs.
Well, I guess there was actually there's some reporting that goes out, and they actually talk about the credibility of those sites, and there are a lot of them that are just a bunch of crap.
I imagine like Ancestry is probably total shit.
That they'll just feed you back some bullshit result that's like, here you go, you're 2% Mongolian. You're like, holy shit, everyone is.
This is from your ancestor, Cliff Harrington. And you're just like,
who the fuck is that?
Not in my family tree. You got that from Google.
You're like, I traced that back. Or I was actually interested in the perspective, but I don't know. It's one of those things. It's how much do I buy into the happy horse shit? That is, the people that do genetic workouts, they have workouts designed based on their genetics. Like,
that sounds like absolute mumbo jumbo.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's you get this little peek of like, oh, but then you go, what? And how much did you pay for that? And you're like, about $600 on the internet, and they look, they've sent me a personalized fitness and nutrition plan based on the fact that I have Norwegian ancestry, so they're recommending I eat salmon.
And throw around logs all day, too?
Yeah, they're just...
Are you going to go to Scotland and try to lift the Dinny Stones?
Yeah, they're like, hey, go ahead and just go for a swim in your nearest local ravine. And
try not to pick up the toxic waste from the dumping that's going on due to increased industry deregulation.
Yes. Hey. It's all around a very interesting thing that I just kind of like, I had heard about. I don't even know where I found it from. Probably some dumb BuzzFeed article, which is enough to give anybody cancer. So throwing shade at BuzzFeed to start. So
I mean, come on,
there
man.
are some
throwing shade at BuzzFeed is like breathing. It's just a thing that you do if you are a sentient
it's too
human.
easy.
Like
I think I'm above that. So sorry, BuzzFeed. I'm above throwing the shit at you. I don't mean to. I mean, I think there are.
I mean, look, dude, they've made hundreds of millions more dollars than us.
Yeah,
so like,
yeah, they did. So whoever is running BuzzFeed,
I mean, keep doing what you're doing, but you're breaking mankind.
Mindless stuff.
I wouldn't really have a problem with BuzzFeed if they just didn't do so many empty listicles.
Yep.
I'm just so tired of list-based articles, list-based humor, list-based posts. I'm like, I know that it's what gets the algorithm to look at you, but come on. Can't you have at least a little bit of journalistic integrity?
Looking at you, Watch Mojo.
Watch Mojo.
Because that's like half my recommended
Top
videos
10
on YouTube.
anime chefs. I'm just kidding. That's not actually a video of theirs. Double just kidding. You got bamboozled. That is absolutely one of their fucking videos, and they should be ashamed. If you don't believe me, YouTube that. That exists.
Top 10 endings to films that will surprise you, but don't surprise you. What? What?
Top 10 Schindler's Lists. There's only one. That's the joke.
They're like, gotcha. 10 times Schindler's List was not a Holocaust movie. What? It was actually a modern take on the political spectrum, and you're like, don't read into this bullshit. We're gonna
segue now. We're gonna segue now because
right.
You just fucking you touched on a dangerous topic here.
I'm more making like a Watch Mojo joke. That was not meant to be a political joke there. That was more just like that's the bullshit that they pull out of there, where it's like 10 Easter eggs from Castaway that led to the series creation of Lost.
Yeah, no, the absolute reaches. What I was going to say is this is not to do with politics. That's not why I had that reaction. I had that reaction because I fucking hate the incredible emphasis that everybody and their dog has on think piecing every piece of media to death. Yes. Like, that was one of the big reasons that The Last Jedi was so unpopular in a lot of circles. I mean, besides the fact that it was bad, but the fact that everyone and their dog wanted to commandeer it for some kind of ideology or some kind of literary point or some kind of political brownie point. And it was just like, dude, it's Star Wars. It's meant to just be simple fun. It's not meant to tell you how to live your life. No. Like, I just feel like everyone, like, don't get me wrong. There are things out there that seem deceptive and simple in media that's like, this is definitely meant to hide a deeper meaning.
Yep.
But, like, there's a difference between that and looking at obvious symbols that a person puts in their art just to get attention and saying, oh, yeah, this has some kind of deeper meaning that I've got to find because I'm so deep and meaningful.
I got to dig in and got to watch 8 YouTube videos.
And then I got to post it all over blog spots so that everyone knows.
And then I can trash on that. And just kind of segueing off of that conversation, I think we just live in a society that's really, really good.
I feel like
I'm about to generalize this.
You could just end every sentence that says, we live in a society right there.
Then you're like, and everyone's like, oh, this fucking dude again. Like, oh, here we go. Another internet random talking about how fucked up society is. But we live in an age, and kind of in my personal opinion, again, that
you guys need to understand one thing here. Everything that you're going to hear in these conversations is opinion unless we specify otherwise, in which case we will have a study or a link or something to send to you.
Yep.
We're not gospel.
No.
So anyway, continue.
And for the most part, with that, if you disagree with the opinion, that doesn't mean I disagree with you. There are definitely some opinions in life that I'm like 100%. If you fall on this spectrum of shitbaggery, then no, you have 0 point.
It may be best for us not to associate.
Right. Like, and I'm never gonna, and I don't expect.
What's that? You don't believe 97% of the global scientific community in climate change? Get the fuck out!
You're like, it's all a myth. It's all a myth, Kyle. The moon landing didn't happen.
God, that one makes me pretty furious too.
The world is flat. And
I'm like, JFK didn't take a bullet in the head for nothing here, man. Like,
there's an interesting conspiracy that talks about that the only reason this whole flat Earth theory has blown up so much is that it's a hype train for private space commercial flights. So that eventually, when space commercial flights happen, that people will want to be the first people on the fucking shuttles to go like, "Oh shit, it's not flat." And then I was like, that's some deep shit.
that would be the epitome.
Elon Musk in there planting the seed.
God, Elon Musk, what a shithead.
For SpaceX flights, but I do like that gentleman. I like Teslas. I will admit.
I love the Tesla company, and I love what he's done for rocket engineering, but he's such a bastard, man. I mean, fuck, like he called that guy who saved all those kids in Thailand a pedophile because he took away Elon Musk's opportunity to showboat and make it about his fabulous invention instead of, saving these dying children. So, like, I don't know. He can be a little Howard Hughes in that he's this giant of technology, but he doesn't get people.
I guess it's probably hard to get people too when you're at the level of just the amount of shit is on his fucking plate. That how do you manage Tesla, SpaceX, the Boring Company? Still want one of their flamethrowers. Like, that's just insane. And to be the head person that's also leading the design process behind a lot of that, I mean, I'm just surprised the guy knows how to talk to people, because for the most part, he's probably just consumed by work, and I just figured he'd probably be the most socially awkward person on the planet.
He actually is a very good speaker, but keep the guy the fuck away from social media.
He does love his Twitter.
Yeah.
But I think everybody loves their Twitter to just spout shit.
I don't have Twitter.
I only have it for the dank memes and to get customer service done.
I just go on Reddit for my memes, dude,
Yes.
and I'm much happier because I don't have to deal with the Twitter, Facebook, Instagram bullshit.
Which is true. There's a lot of bullshit on there. There is a lot of crap nowadays.
Granted, there's a lot more anti-Semitism and general overall racism on Reddit that I'm super not a fan of.
Pepe the Frog still exists in Reddit, I think, right?
God, they did Pepe dirty, man. Like, he was just an innocent little webcomic meme that everyone loved because he was just so dumb and simple. And then I think it was 8chan and 4chan just co-opted that whole thing and made him into a series of white supremacy memes. And so he was added as a hate symbol. But like that, I don't know. Like, I totally understand the need to curb hate ideology in online spaces. You need to get rid of that. I don't think they made the wrong decision, but I think it was poorly informed, because it's like, just because, I mean, I can take a picture of Sam Harris and make a incredibly condescending, terrible, racist meme out of it. That doesn't mean that he himself
is the
racist and condescending.
Yeah.
It means I stole his image and co-opted it to further my shit terrible cause.
And I'm sure.
And I feel like that's what happened with Pepe, because beforehand he was just a dumb, funny, nostalgic byproduct of the webcomic age.
Yep, where he's sticking forks in
Why the fuck did I just do such
outlets?
a detailed historical analysis about a fucking meme?
Because that's the world that we live in, where like things get taken out of proportion that don't need to be taken out, and just
context is king.
Yes, and that's the thing. But here's the beautiful part of having like the long form podcast thing we're about to have is, even at the end of the day, if someone manages to take this podcast and clip out a segment of it and go, hey, look what this person said. At the end of the day, we're going to have this totally unedited process of, hey, look, here's what actually got said. Because we do
exactly, and you and I are pretty milquetoast. We don't exactly have the most edgy of opinions, so I feel like people would have to be stretching for that. Like,
I don't even know what you could have an edgy opinion about anymore.
I mean, gender equality. That one gets pretty edgy. I feel like that's like on one of the edgiest. In fact, people get shitty about that.
They do. So I vote. The vote of confidence now is, we'll let you have your own opinion on that.
Yeah, we're not gonna.
I have mine. Kyle has his.
Yeah, we're not gonna deal with that level of political shit on here. No. We may talk about the latest dumb shit Trump does, or we may talk about something in the socio-political scheme that could be interesting or funny, but we are not BBC. We are not The Independent. We are not here to touch on those kinds of social issues. That's bad for us, and it's bad for you, because all we have for them is anecdotal evidence from the way that we live our lives. Yes. We are not we're not sociologists here. Like, one of my favorite Jim Jeffries quotes is, I'm an entertainer. This isn't a TED Talk. Yeah. And that's pretty much just how I try to live my entire life when it comes to things I say in a performance context.
And we live in a, I'm not going to say we live in a world again, because I'm so
we
tired
live in a society
of, no. But it's really easy that nowadays, oh God, where's my train of thought going here?
Off the fucking
off
rails.
a cliff is the answer
Yeah.
to that question, which is totally fine. But
is it really fine when a train derails with no survivors in 2018, Nick? We need better infrastructure.
hashtag make America great again.
I'm gonna fucking kill you, Nicholas. Like,
just hashtag MAGA or whatever people say. I don't know what the
I don't even
latest
know.
vernacular is.
I haven't been keeping up with that whole sea of madness, but I did see one that made me laugh, which was, you know how it used to be better dead than red back in like the 50s and
communist
60s?
Stuff, yeah.
Yeah, now it's better Russian than Dem. That's the one I've seen on hashtags a lot lately, where I'm like, ha, ha, ha. I don't even need to comment on that. I can just let it speak for itself.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I got my train of thought back. By the way, it's
yes,
all back.
please.
There were salvaged. The children did make it, Kyle.
Okay, as long as the children survive, that's all
we
I
have.
care
And the
about,
snacks.
man.
The snacks made it too, so everybody gets peanuts.
Yes, we saved the children, we saved the snacks so that we can give the children to the snacks. I mean the snacks to the children.
Everybody else though is absolutely dead.
Yeah,
I
very,
mean 100% dead. The
gruesomely
driver dead. The conductor dead. Grandma Stewart dead. They got everyone. It was catastrophic. So
Okay, this bit's been great, but don't lose your train of thought again over the sake of it.
No, but it's an overpolluted mess of a lot of the times that sharing political opinions is so overdone by everyone everywhere that I get so tired of hearing. That's why I don't watch the news, because it's all it is political this, political that. So this is my way of escaping and not really having to talk and deal with that, because I get it force-fed to me by everybody else and their dumbass articles they share on the internet.
And
if
by
you're
a lot
one
of
of those people, please check yourself and check your sources. Double check your articles and please post them. Otherwise, I will shit all over your page.
Yeah, please check your sources and post your articles. That's one of the biggest things, man. Credibility is huge in the misinformation age. You don't have to be magnificently consistent on everything you say, but you do have to be able to represent yourself and your beliefs in a way that is civil,
Yes.
And
let's go with that.
And that's one thing that I want to talk about that I'm curious. Have you heard this term before, bad faith?
No. Is that a band?
No.
Is that like an alternative rock group?
I'm getting up. I'm fucking leaving. No. Bad faith is kind of one of the new buzzwords that people liked. Deep breaths. And it has to do with the idea of false civility and false goodwill in argument. Saying really hateful, inflammatory shit and then backing off when someone says hateful, inflammatory shit back to you to counter your terrible argument and going, oh, well, I thought this was a civilized argument. Aren't you going to give me your sources, or aren't you going to give me this or that? There are so many people out there who want to fake niceness and fake kindness in their argument, so that then when you get opinionated, they can just paint you as wrong instantly, And I think that the internet has enabled that a lot.
Yes.
Because it's so easy to hide behind a keyboard, delete a comment that contrasts with the new view you've taken, because you take a new one every 30 seconds. Mm-hmm. I think bad faith is another big part of why it's so hard to... Excuse me.
Yeah,
Why it's so hard to get into political discussion of anything without it feeling like such a fucking quagmire, because you have no way to prove that anyone's telling the truth and telling you what they genuinely believe. You don't know if they're not just shaping their argument to try to make you look like a fool.
Right.
And that's why it's very difficult to have these kinds of conversations. Not to mention that everyone just wants it to be, no one likes moderates anymore. So
no, everybody has to be polarizing, or you have to have some kind of opinion. Everybody has to have an opinion on anything too. And it's people.
And that's the thing, is maybe it's just maybe I don't want to have an opinion on that. It has nothing to do with my life. It's not going to interact with me, or more importantly, the people that I love in any significant way. It's I'd rather worry about the bigger issues here.
And I think it's that people just also like to dislike things.
I can attest to that. I love disliking shit.
Yeah, you're everybody has to be well, fuck that. If I'm a ketogenic carnivore meat diet guy, I'm man, fuck the vegans. And if I'm a vegan, I'm fuck you and your dumb meathead opinion while I eat my lettuce wrap. Don't look at me. And then the meat guy comes, but it's just
the meat guy's just got a whole T-bone steak. He's just eating it with his hands with no silverware. It's not salted.
Because he doesn't care. We're back to the Neanderthal thing.
Meanwhile, the vegan's still going to keep eating that damn crunchy roll. That damn lettuce roll, because no one cares.
Yeah. And then nobody, yeah. And I think at the end of the day, for the most part, just do you. I don't care.
Just do you, as long as it's not at the expense of other people's happiness.
Yeah.
And like, because the thing about happiness is it's not a solid state.
No.
Happiness is like a little bird that flies onto your ship every now and again. And whenever it lands on the mast, you better be really happy that it's there and hope it sticks around a while. But like, if you try to keep it there all the time, you're going to be devoting all your resources away from keeping track of your goddamn ship.
Yeah, you can't force feed or try to capture that, because at the end of the day, you'll overcompensate for it.
It's not sustainable.
No.
It's not. People like, I don't know, dude. There's been times in my life where it's been like months upon months where I'm just like happy all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, it was in high school. And there was a period where I was like that. Obviously, people who knew me in high school in public might disagree because I was a moody little shit. But that period of happiness, I just felt tired, man. I was like, I don't want to have to be happy buzzy all the time. Like, I want the right to be pissed about something if it upsets me.
Mm-hmm.
I want to feel entitled to be sad or vulnerable if something happens that I need to get my feelings out on, you know? You just got to find a way to do that doesn't hurt other people. And that's the balance I've struggled to find. You know me. I can be a volatile person. And, like, I think that's the balance that you find, especially with these hot button topics, when you take the person outside of the personal and put them in the communal in this setting of conversation, especially with difficult topics. That's when you can run into so many instances where someone has to be a hero with their opinion, or they have to beat down the other person ideologically instead of seeing where they're coming from. And, you know, you don't realize what personal biases you take in with you. You know, you think that you are being objective, you think you're being fair, but you never really catch how
formulated your opinions are.
And you often don't even know where those formulations came from.
No.
And that's not just politics. That's just like thinking itself. That's how thinking works.
That's just, you are the product of your environment. And a lot of the times when it comes down to it, it's just your experiences have shaped you into the person that you are, and you carry those with you. Sometimes it's an unconscious bias.
Yeah. That's part of what being a
into
responsible adult is you realize that you are nothing but the sum of your experiences and your genetics at this point. Now, what do you do with that?
Yeah.
Now, which of those do you keep and which of those do you change? And, you know, change is such a weird thing because everyone wants it, but fucking nobody does.
Yeah.
So it gets really difficult.
Everybody's afraid of change. I mean,
But
I guess a
also
lot of
everyone
people aren't
thinks they
afraid of
want it.
change. Yeah, because
There's always something in the moment
you
you're
can't
discontent
generalize it. Where, for the most part, people look at themselves when they want to change because they feel like they're complacent or they're stagnant or they haven't moved in life, and they go, well, what do I need to do? Well, I got to get my relationship isn't working, or my job sucks, or what can I do to change that? And maybe your life does suck. Maybe you have a point that you do need to look at, but don't dig for nothing to change things in your life that you don't necessarily need to.
Yeah.
Don't overthink it, because that's as dangerous as not doing anything, is stepping too far and going, hey, you know, I needed to make this change in my life, and so I went out and I broke up with my boyfriend because he doesn't love me or whatever, and then you really regret that because at the end of the day,
it was a snap decision.
Yeah, and you didn't think about it. Put time into the things that you do, and take pride in.
It's hard to ask people to do that now, though, because instant gratification is so much more easily attainable in such far less fulfilling ways than ever before. But it's so quick, it's so easy, it's so addictive. It's just like, you know, a quick little shot, you know. And it's so hard to ask people to move away from that when they can literally just get it with the click of a button. Like, why would you ask someone to go to school and make real changes to their career and their skills when they feel like, oh, I can just Google this and then I don't, you know?
Yeah.
Obviously, that's a total straw man, but I feel like it's an argument that I have heard many a time. So.
Right. Especially with the way the internet is now, where people have this unlimited access to knowledge, and all of a sudden things.
Well, increasingly limited thanks to the whole net neutrality deal. But for now, it's relatively unlimited. For
what you can do, and you can really go out, and there is good things about like having access to this bountiful. I mean, most of the things you can find are great
like
things
this
you can
podcast.
learn. Yes. So continue to keep listening. You're doing great. I love you.
You've almost made it, guys. Nice job.
Yeah, I don't know you, but just know you have a special
well,
place in my heart.
a couple of you I know.
Yeah, so if you are listening to this and you are one of those people, feel free, hit me up. Love to talk to you. 'Cause that's the other thing that I've increasingly...
I'd say hit me up, but like I don't fucking have social media anymore, so you're just gonna have to get my phone number from somebody, and I'm not saying it on live. So
I'll go ahead and say it. So Kyle's... No, I'm just kidding.
I will end you.
You can reach me by mail at my P.O. box.
Dude, I wish I was important enough to have a P.O. box.
Go ahead and so to get a hold of Kyle, you go ahead and just leave a package in a park.
No, okay, here's what you got to do. All right, so if you're going to have to get in touch with what I call a handler. These are the people who are on the street level. These are the ones giving out the contracts. You're going to need to go to what we call a dead drop. Closest one's going to be in Benson Park. You're going to look for the statue of the guy with the blade arms that looks like Slender Man. You're going to put that in between his left armpit. I will come and grab it at some point, probably around 1 a.m. That's my general dead drop time. If you can get it to that point, then I'll see if I can get in touch with you.
And don't hang out till 1 a.m. till he comes to pick it up and then like jump out and surprise him because
that's just entrapment, dude. That's not fair.
Well, the last guy we had do that is dead. So
yeah, no, he's not around anymore.
He's gone. Drug him out into I put him in the pond.
Yeah, you want to talk about old Yellerin, you know?
Yeah,
poor Steve.
1 a.m. meet and greets are not the way to do it.
Yeah, no. If you just respect the process, respect the family.
No, but this is kind of
moving away from bit material
before we beat that to death, not like we did the intern. This podcast.
I'm sorry, that caught me off guard.
He was also caught off guard, so we'll just keep rolling with it. This is an opportunity for anybody that's ever wanted to reach out or talk to either Kyle or myself. This is that open forum where, we are putting ourselves out there, and that's for good reason. I think for good reason. I'm enjoying it. So yeah. If this generates a conversation between you and somebody else, or between you and me,
or between you and a family member, maybe you haven't talked to your sister in a long time,
Yep.
Hey, let's turn on this podcast and just talk.
And my daily motivation for you there as well is that if you're thinking about doing something and you're afraid to try it, like, oh, I'm afraid to ask out that girl or that guy, or I'm afraid to quit my job because I hate it, or I don't know what I want to do in school. It's take a step back, pause for a minute, think about it, and just, if you're really passionate about it, do it. Don't hesitate.
But accept the fact that you are taking a risk.
Yes.
And that if you have real world responsibilities, like maybe you have a kid or maybe you're still in school.
Provide for your family. Don't just dip.
Yeah, you got to be responsible, but you also got to be responsible to yourself.
Yes.
And if you're not taking care of yourself, you're no fucking good to anybody.
No. And you got to be selfish sometimes in life. If you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of other people.
Yeah, like how the fuck can I expect you to take care of me if I'm bleeding to death in an ambulance if you can't even get up on time and not hate yourself?
Right. Be on time to those meetings. Do the right thing.
But if you have something that you're passionate about and you want to try, and it's within your power to do, and it's within your power more often than you think.
Yep.
I mean, I won't say it can't hurt to try, because it's life. It's being alive. Everything can hurt you.
Yes.
But, I mean, you can at least give it a go. You can at least see what happens.
Everything's got inherent risk, and a lot of...
What's going to make you a responsible person or not is how much you can evaluate that risk objectively and say, okay, maybe I shouldn't try to go become a male porn star, but maybe I could write a book or something, or maybe I could write a short story and try to put it out to a magazine or something, or maybe I could go get a gym membership, or maybe I could, if I can't afford a gym membership, maybe I could start running more.
Right. Or I could use the infinite wealth of the internet to maybe find some kind of workout program that'll work for me.
What's that? You don't have internet at home? Libraries are excellent.
Yes. We live in a modern age that is so full of technology and resources that you have no excuse to not go out and to learn something or to do something with your life.
Unless you genuinely don't have access to that technology. And in a lot of poorer and rural areas, unfortunately, the infrastructure just is not there, which is very depressing.
Yes.
I'm not trying to be some bright-eyed idealist here. I want people to go out and take charge of their lives and their passions. But, God, I just can't. It's so difficult for me to want to tell people to be that optimistic because I'm I don't know, dude. I don't want to be the one who told you to throw your life away. And again, I don't have that kind of power over people because I'm just some dude who lives in Colorado who decided to make a podcast with his best friend.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it, but words have so much more power than people want you to believe.
Yes.
So that's why even though I can be a loose cannon when it comes to profanity or certain phrases, you know, in terms of like catchphrases or things that like, you know, what'd you call them the other day? Verbal tics?
Yeah, your verbal tics, your your your...
Or like your nevertheless
words.
Or things like that.
Yeah, where you just...
But like when it comes to ideas or like lifestyle, you know, like I'm fucking 22, man. I don't know more than you.
Nope.
Like I just know what I've experienced and what the people around me have experienced. And in every single case that someone I know had the opportunity to do something that mattered to them and they didn't take it, they were a much more miserable person because of it. Myself included. It's happened to me several times. That's just part of living.
And that was me for a long time, too. I wasn't an inherent risk taker. I didn't like stepping outside of my comfort zone. I said no to a lot of things. And I just didn't take the risks that I probably should have in life. Mm-hmm. There were instances that, you know, I had opportunities to go to out-of-state colleges, and I talked myself out of them, that I didn't need it because it's so far away and it's so scary and it was this, that, and the other. And I'm the first person when it comes to giving bullshit excuses to cover up my own, like, oh, I didn't do that. Well, you know, it's hard and I would get into shape, but, you know, I just don't have time. And I'm realizing now that with this, seeing how at the end of the day, when I looked at it from afar, I thought it was this hugely overwhelming concept of things that I was going to have to do, and it was going to be so much work to do this podcast, and who's going to listen, and well, what equipment do I use? And then I went and said, you know what? I don't need to overthink this.
Yeah.
I need to do the best that I can right now, and to get it out there, because if I don't now, and I missed my opportune window to work on it from the beginning, there's no room to improve it. I waited too long to go, I can't do it because I don't have the best equipment, and there's so many other things going on. But
dude, Stephen King had a dream in a typewriter. And
that's a lot of people. There's a wealth of influential people that have had a lot of successes in their life that have come up from nothing.
And remember that those are a
small
hilariously tiny
percentage.
Minority. But, you know, humans live off of possibility. Mm-hmm. As long as the possibility is there, that's enough for almost anybody. Mm-hmm. But so many people, for so many reasons, feel like there is no possibility or there is no hope.
And don't ever think that.
Well, I mean, how can you ask, you know, a single mother in the ghettos of Brooklyn to not feel that?
Right.
Like, her life is hell.
Yes.
You know? What right do we have to tell that person to follow their dreams?
No, and that's the hard part about giving people any kind of advice ever. A lot of times, they don't want it because who are you to?
What the fuck do you know?
I'm a single mom in Brooklyn. How do I?
What are these two white boys in Loveland going to do
for me? You think you're high and mighty or you're better than me because you're on a podcast? You can just say, oh yeah, it's because it is easy to say, yeah, just do this or do that or go on from the experiences.
I mean, dude, anyone that like you can attest to this. You were in high school when we had Facebook and crap like that.
Yep.
Like, you know how easy it is for someone to get just a little bit of attention on them, just a little bit of attention, even if it's just like 100 people liking your prom photo, and suddenly that person starts to feel like a shot caller because of the internet, because of the way that it makes you feel. It doesn't. All you see is a bunch of people from different walks of life are paying attention to me, so I have the right to speak on these things and to have authority over people. What you don't see is the fact, you're too blind to the fact that those 100 blue like signs, as shiny as they are still only like 100 fucking people, and there's 8 billion people in the world.
Yeah.
So
it's a fraction of a percentage it's a fraction of a fraction.
Yeah.
To be
with a decimal,
to be honest,
in there somewhere.
Yeah, maybe to the nth
Except
degree.
you can't do decimals in fractions, you know.
No, you can't mix. Don't you
don't cross the streams.
Don't you dare mix those ever. And the teachers that did mix those in math equations,
do you think that Twitch streamers that are playing the same game and are popular and have similar fan bases ever tell each other don't cross the streams? Like, don't stream at the same time I'm streaming?
If they don't, they're doing it wrong. If that's the first instance that joke has ever been made ever,
then we live in a disappointing time.
Then we copyrighted it so everybody else can fuck right off.
Trademark.
Yeah, you can't have it. Just came up with it. We're going to Twitch stream now. That's all we're doing. Fuck the podcast.
Yeah, we're just gonna Twitch stream Fortnite.
Yeah, enjoy
and,
Fortnite.
Like, get a fan base of 12-year-olds.
Yeah, because I'm super excited. I'm not Logan Paul. Thank you. Or
God. Did you hear, didn't Logan Paul or somebody, have a fight
yes,
recently?
they had a boxing match with another YouTuber called KSI, and I heard it was the biggest bullshit I've ever heard.
You want to know something funny? I remember seeing the advertisement for that fight on Reddit and thinking, oh, that's going to be dumb as shit. And then I saw KSI, and I was like, oh, wait, him? That guy? Totally thought they were talking about KRS-One, the rapper. And I was like, I am dumb as a post.
Is it wrong that I didn't know who half of those people were? When they're naming off people, I'm like, who the fuck is that?
Well, it's just because you and I have become old fogies, compared to
fucking fogies,
compared to the current crowd of social media and YouTube consumers. So
yeah, I guess that's true because a lot of the people that I grew up watching are kind of gone or had some,
they're on Twitch.
Yeah, they're on Twitch or they had some kind of.
Or they probably got, sexual harassment allegations.
That was the other thing.
Because apparently fucking everybody ever in the world did
sexually harasses somebody.
Yeah. And don't get me, and again.
That is wrong. Don't do it.
Yeah, no, I want to make it very clear. I'm not being flippant about the Me Too movement. I think it's incredibly important. There's a lot of animal fucking people out there who have gotten away with doing these horrible things in such positions of power. I don't know, man. I'm so glad that the Me Too movement exists. I think there's some problems with it, The whole Aziz Ansari thing. That guy didn't do anything fucking wrong. He's just a bad date.
Yeah.
But the fact that a Harvey Weinstein, someone that powerful,
slipped through for so long,
but then they finally got. That's a pretty cathartic feeling.
That is actual justice there, and people like that do deserve to get shit on. You deserve the amount of fuckery that is coming your way if you are that kind of shit person.
Yeah.
But just because there is a movement that's going on that doesn't give, and this is the warning to those people too, is don't think that you can ride the gravy train of a movement because you will ruin it.
Yeah. If you don't have any legitimate connection to the Me Too movement, don't. Because those people are doing incredibly important work to dismantle centuries of bad gender dynamics and bad, terrible oppression in terms of, people's sexual liberty and the right to not get harassed or even raped at the workplace. Mm-hmm. If you don't have a legitimate grievance in that movement, get the fuck out. And the same goes for me. That's why this may be the only comment on that I ever make on this show. Because it's I want to be an advocate for it, but it's not my fight.
No.
And it would be disingenuous of me to claim that it was. I would be taking away the attention from people who have much stronger voices on this than me and who have much deeper connection to it than me.
All I could be is an advocate to the people that are out there doing the right thing and putting in the time and the effort to make that movement work.
Yeah. And for people like you and me, where it's you and I are definitely, we're not world famous.
No.
So it's all that people like you and I and the people who are listening to this podcast can do is just be kind to people in the day to day and don't tolerate that kind of abuse or harassment when you see it.
No. Shut that shit down, homie.
And if you see it in yourself, because I feel like everybody at one point or another has had one time where they feel I just don't feel good about that. I feel skeevy. I feel like
that was shitty.
I feel like I acted in the wrong here. I feel like I probably shouldn't have done that. If you see that, then fucking accept it and change it. Mm-hmm. You are in a position to do very powerful good because you can realize that kind of negativity inside you and you can realize what you've done wrong and change. Whereas this movement is designed to dismantle the lives of the people who can't and who never will because they're not sorry.
Yeah.
So
I don't think I could have said that better. It's look inward. It kind of circles back to the same topic that we were on earlier where learn yourself, you and your own actions and beliefs and the way you carry yourself and the way you treat yourself is of the utmost importance, and you should hold yourself to high standards.
One of my favorite examples from the Me Too movement that ties into this and ties into that specific statement is Terry Crews. Because Terry Crews stepping out, being the man that he is, being this gigantic person, both in stature and in, acclaim, and him being willing to step out and be vulnerable and say, I was attacked, and to stand up for that movement, that was possible because he is who he is and because he stands with stature in all aspects of his life and tries to be kind and tries to be caring. That I think that was a huge part of what made his voice so powerful once it got added to the conversation, especially because, male abuse victims are so underrepresented.
Yes.
Abuse victims in general are underrepresented, but like
males in that section, there's a lot of
it's like why didn't stuff. It's like why didn't the one that you hear all the time is just like why didn't you fight back, or it's like you're a guy, you're so big, why didn't you stop them, or like you probably liked it, and like you hear people say that and you just want to kill them. You're just like I feel like the gene pool. I'm like I feel like the gene pool would not be disadvantaged by you not being here.
That's true. And if you feel like your voice is not being heard, and you're looking at people like Terry Crews or the people that come out and have these big, powerful celebrity voices, well, they're speaking out because they have that platform, and you don't be afraid to also speak out because you don't feel that you don't have that platform to speak out from. Do what you can in your own realm of possibility. If you can, hey, I'm gonna write a letter, or maybe I'm gonna start my own local community,
or maybe I'm just going to like volunteer at shelters and try to help other victims of abuse.
You can contribute.
There's so much positive stuff you can do.
And that's it with all things. When you look at big world problems, it's easy to be overwhelmed and go, well, fuck, I don't know. I'm not going to be able to clean up the ocean. Like, well, but you look at things that you can be
stop putting more shit in it.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Don't you throw your fucking plastic in the goddamn ocean. I just watched Blue Planet 2, and they had a whole episode dedicated to make me feel like a shitbag. So shout out to BBC for being awesome.
Planet Earth, man. Like, have you watched the Cities episode of Planet Earth 2?
Yes, that fucked with me. The turtle scene fucked me up.
I couldn't deal with it, man. I couldn't deal with that. Like,
that's some fuckery right there.
But at the same time, I really liked some of the stuff they showed in there about like urban nature integration.
Yeah.
And like how especially a lot of communities in like Asian nations and like major cities like Singapore and things like
with
that.
The monkeys?
Started, like
so good.
Not even that. But like the tenement apartments with like trees built in, or like like really beautiful like nature designs in like public cities. Like I'm trying to remember the city they showed.
Is that the one with the giant tree?
Yes.
South Korea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
South Korea's got some cool shit.
Like I love the idea of that, of like integrating nature and urban environments.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be spectacular.
And all of those
also take a ridiculous amount of manpower.
Yes. And all of those things were made possible by people that had small aspirations or big dreams and went out and did something about it in the realm of their own possibility. Like, I mean, that whole design came from some architect somewhere that said, hey, I wonder if we could do this, and then just enacted upon what he could do. Yeah. And hey, it sparks itself. So,
and I do want to throw in something quick here. I know that we said earlier on that we wouldn't be talking about political issues, but when it comes to things like your right not to get physically assaulted in the workplace, or your right for your kids to have clean, breathable air and fresh water, I don't think that that's a political thing.
No.
I think that that's a human thing.
Yes.
So we may discuss controversial issues on this channel. Just know that unless it's something that we genuinely feel is substantial to your life beyond just which way you vote, we may bring it up. But otherwise, we're like, I don't ever want to fucking talk about something like abortion on this channel.
No,
never.
Well, mostly because I'm a male and it's not my place to talk about it. So.
Well, that's the obvious one. That's the implication. But also because it's just like, what type of conversation is that going to bring to this space? 0%. A terrible one.
Nobody will enjoy it.
Yeah.
The musical.
Nobody will enjoy it. The musical by Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Oh.
Otherwise known as every musical he's made.
Oh, that's a deep joke. Only the people that actually know anything about theater or those musicals are gonna pick up on that.
I live for deep jokes. I love obscure references.
Well, whoever got that joke, congratulations.
Andrew, I'll explain it because nothing makes a joke funnier than explaining it. Andrew Lloyd Webber is the composer behind Phantom of the Opera and quite a number of other
I didn't know that.
famous, if not critically well received shows that have been, like Phantom of the Opera, loved by fans, longest running Broadway show for quite some time. Critics fucking hated it. Like, Andrew Lloyd Webber is not a popular guy in the establishment scene.
Yep.
He made a School of Rock musical.
Like, based off of the film?
Based off of the Jack Black School of Rock film.
Solid film, by the way.
And I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen School of Rock?
No, I haven't.
What? Okay, arguably one of Jack Black's better movies. Considering that's putting it in a little bit of a perspective for you that it's a Jack Black film, and I love Jack Black. I love Tenacious D. Some of those movies. I saw The Pick of Destiny. We're not even going to touch on that film, even though it's great.
Well, Why not?
I like that film.
Dude, I fucking love The Pick of Destiny. It's so dumb.
I know. But you thoroughly need to. So that's Kyle's homework, is to go home, and we'll discuss the School of Rock.
Yeah,
next time.
I guess I better watch this. Maybe that'll be our theme.
Just
we're gonna do an hour and a half on the
School of Rock. How long is the movie? About an hour and 42 minutes. And how long did we talk about it? We talked about it for an hour and 42 minutes.
That's enough material. We'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll be great. That's next week's topic. I'm kidding. It's not next week's topic.
Yeah, no, fucking no way.
And we're still working on next week's topic. We'll
that's one thing
out.
we want to know. Like, if you guys want to hear specific topics or like a certain theme, please tell us, because that gives us more ideas of what to work with and what to study. Also, did you just say Space Force?
Yes. Good topic.
Oh my
Good topic.
God.
Well, I thoroughly do want to spend some time on that topic. I do.
I feel like that's getting close to the political realm,
but it's not, because I want to talk about it from
so funny.
I want to talk about it more from like the meaningful aspect of space, more or less than.
And also, the idea that like, even though it may be a little misguided, it's good that we're still putting emphasis on space exploration right now. Because like, what the fuck have we been doing the past 40 years? Like.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
JFK got shot in the face, and then everybody kind of just was like,
okay, that was like 50 years. Almost 60 now, because we're just about to the 20s.
Woo! Okay, that put it into perspective. Yeah, time is passing quickly.
You want to know some bullshit? Most of the music I listen to is from 40 to like 30 years ago, because I listen to a lot of classic rock. Most of the music I listen to, I was not even...
alive.
No,
you thought.
I was not even a nice thought yet. I was just nothing.
You were, I don't know what you were. You were some existence of something somewhere.
I like to think I was like a tree in a past life.
That's cool. I think we can all be more like trees.
Not talking and just staying in one place.
Yes, just don't talk and just stand there
and keep it green
and just stop talking. Be more like trees, everyone. Nobody. If everybody acted more like a tree and just kind of, kept more things to themselves and went with the flow, shed your leaves every now and again and weather the storm, we'd have a better planet, everybody.
Did you just use the cliche weather the storm?
I did, but like from like a winter perspective, so.
I'll allow it, but I'm not happy about it.
It's probably the worst thing you'll hear on this episode. But the other thing that I wanted to touch on before we get out of here, because we're getting close to maybe getting a good spot to wrap up here.
Sure.
Is Kyle and I had an idea that we wanted to share with everybody, and I don't know how well prepared you are, so I may spring this on you or may not, but
show me what you got.
Is talking about things that we've seen in the week that we want to share with everybody else that we enjoyed. So the way I broke it down was something I've read this week that I enjoyed, something that I've listened to this week that I learned something from or I enjoyed, or in something I watched that I visually saw. And by watched, I mean it could be a piece of art, it could be a movie, it could be a YouTube video, whatever.
Yes. Or it could be a dank-ass meme.
Or it could be a dank-ass meme, and if it's fire meme, you go ahead and send that over to the Instagram page at Decompression Session.
Yeah, if you find good memes and we like them, we'll upload them to our Instagram page.
DM me those memes.
I fucking love memes.
I will never say no to the dankest of memes.
I will not, no.
Dank memes.
Unless they contain blatantly objectionable material.
And then
in which case, we may laugh at it behind closed doors, but we're not going to publish
that. Also, please don't send me pics of your dicks. Or your genitalia.
Don't.
I won't be gender specific. I don't want to see either. So anyway, kind of sharing.
Yeah, we have a gender neutral no nudes policy.
Yeah, we appreciate it, but
sorry,
unless they're tasteful nudes.
No such thing as tasteful nudes.
I guess that's true. So let's think of things. Interesting thing that I heard this week, song wise or podcast wise, great. I'm going to plug the Joe Rogan Experience here because that is probably one of the most popular podcasts on the internet. And it's a good introduction to people that have never listened to podcasts other than this channel.
Yeah, if you're a Joe Rogan was the first podcast I ever heard because of Nick. Mm-hmm. So if you don't know what the fuck is going on or why anyone would want to listen to this, watch Joe Rogan. Yeah. You'll get an idea of what the whole podcast thing's about.
Yeah. Had a solid episode discussion. They went back and forth. And though many people have their opinions on this gentleman, he did an episode with Mr. Neil deGrasse Tyson. Again, I guess they're friends. And they touched on some pretty cool, interesting topics, so I give it a listen.
Dude, Neil's a cocky piece of shit, but he knows his stuff about science, and he's an excellent elocutor. So I still love watching him and things.
And he's getting ready to put out a new book, which got me super excited, so it's kind of a shameless plug for that also. So go check that out.
I still need to read Astrophysics for People in a Hurry.
I have it currently on my Kindle. I'm going through it.
Nice.
Going through it. Good book that I've read this week was I just finished up Russell Brand's book that he put out. It's called Addiction. And it talks about it's a 12-step program book, which I never thought I would listen to, but I like listening to Russell Brand because I think he's hilarious. And the book is written fucking hilariously. So the audiobook is even better.
Does he narrate it?
He does.
Yes!
Which is the best part about
happy.
it. So, yeah, it's called Addiction by Russell Brand. It's a 12-step program book. I got it because there were some people in my life that I feel that could benefit from the book. And if I was going to recommend a book like that, I wanted to read it first.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome book. It has helped me kind of put a little perspective on things. And I might, myself, work through the book, not because I have an addiction, but because it will make me a better person. And that's something I've seen this week that I thoroughly enjoyed. Ooh, this is a tougher one. Interestingly enough, even though we were shitting on Elon Musk, they did do a factory tour of the Tesla factory on YouTube with a YouTube star, Marquez Brownlee. His YouTube channel is MKBHD. He's a huge YouTuber. I'd go check him out. And there's 2 parts. There's an interview and a walkthrough of the factory. Super cool experiences. And there's also a behind the scenes through Jonathan Morrison, how they filming the walkthrough of the factory. Super interesting to see how that all comes together. So, Kyle, you?
Yes, I'm just pulling up my Spotify because there was a song that I listened to recently that I really dug, but I'm trying to remember where I found it. Yes. Okay. So, I don't know how many of you are into any kind of hard rock or heavy metal, but one thing I've been listening to lately is this Maori that native people said New Zealand, if you're not a historical person.
Okay.
A Maori heavy metal band called Alien Weaponry. And they put out a music video a few months ago that got them pretty big, and they just released their first album, 2, and it's TU. If you're looking for a good starter track to give you an idea of what they're about, I would recommend you listen to the song Kai Tangata. It is Kai space Tangata. It's on Spotify, YouTube, whatever have you. Something I watched recently that entertained me. I'm trying to think. I haven't really been watching that much stuff.
It's hard, man.
Yeah.
Infinity War.
I watched Infinity War for the second time recently. A buddy of mine hadn't seen it because he had been tripping on shrooms in the theater and had to leave. And so it was like watching it for the first time. It was great. But, so yeah, I watched that recently. There was a YouTuber that I found recently that I really liked.
It's hard when I put you on the spot, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the thing is like I didn't know that we were going to be doing this this week.
Well, now you know. Now you know.
Yeah, my improv skills have gotten sloppy since the theater days. Okay. I don't know if anyone played Sonic the Hedgehog growing up, but go watch the YouTube video Sonic the Hedgehog Green Chill Zone Smooth Jazz cover. It's technically another song, but it's a video, so I'm going to count it because it's watchable. It's a smooth jazz remake of the first level music from Sonic the Hedgehog, and it's honestly really catchy.
Fresh.
Yeah. And then for something I've read recently, I am currently working on Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn because I saw the advertisements for the HBO program starring Amy Adams, and I fucking love Amy Adams. So I will be reading that book and then checking out the series. I'm excited for that.
Right on. Well, I think that's a good place to end the first episode, sir.
Yeah,
I think
I agree. We've been a little all over the place,
but
I feel like that's kind of why this is going to be a fun project because this is just a conversation that we happen to be recording.
Yep. And
so if you're looking for something more focused, go watch another podcast.
Right. Right. And we may have a pretty focused episode here and there, but for the most part, you're here because you are wanting to be part of the experience that Kyle and I are put together. We're super excited if you've tuned in and listened through. If you skipped half of this and you're at the end of it, congratulations. You're also still at the end of it.
That's what I do when I watch podcasts. I skip around a lot.
That's fine. I just kind of put them on mindlessly for 3 hours. So
that's because like you're at work.
We have 2 camps. We have 2 camps here.
Yeah.
More kind of to wrap up the plugs. Once again, you can check us out over on Instagram. The page is the @Decompression Session. We're working on getting that guy
Hopefully
stood
you can
up.
spell that.
Well, you can. If you cannot, Google Decompression Session and it will autocorrect it for you. We do not have a Facebook page yet. Working on that. That'll get put up.
Yeah, that's going to be your
too.
responsibility. I don't fuck with Facebook.
I will pretty much handle whatever I can. And then in the meantime, check us out wherever you can get your local podcasts or any podcast from. So Apple Podcasts for those of you on iOS. Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud. there's going to be plenty of opportunities, and we highly encourage you, if you've enjoyed this program in any way, shape, or form, do give it a share it with some people. They may also
Seriously,
enjoy it.
that's one of the things about starting up these smaller time digital projects, is that we live or die on your guys' word of mouth. If you don't give shares, if you genuinely like the content, we're not going to ask you to share it if you didn't like it.
Yep.
But if you like the content, you got to put it out there.
Yep.
It's like that's how we get the program out to other people beyond our sphere of influence.
Yep. And we appreciate anything that you guys are willing to put forth out there.
Yeah, please give us criticisms. Please give us complaints. Give us stuff that we can use to make the program something that would be more interesting long term.
Yep. And shameless plug back to the beginning. Check out Darcy Kinchin on Instagram, killing it with the artwork stuff. And I'm sure we're going to have some more featured artwork stuff coming up on the page too. So
for sure,
stay tuned there, and stay tuned for more awesome episodes. Well, I have been Nick, and
I have been Kyle.
Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Stay beautiful. Stay golden pony boy.
Yeah.
Messed up the outsiders.
Not going to be quite as dramatic of a closer now.
Ooh. Huh? Anyway, you're all awesome. We look forward to seeing you guys next week when we drop the next episode. Until then, Deuce Arenas.
Ciao.
Bye.